Hi there, this is David and welcome to my rankings of the characters of the 7th Saga. While widely regarded as one of the hardest RPGs ever created, it is strangely one of my favorites. As a child, I used to play through the game all the time. I even beat it 7 times with all 7 characters. So I thought that it might be fun to go back and rank all of them, from worst to best. So, let's go ahead and get started. Number 7. Legis. Our resident demon, Legis is a black mage crossed with an offensive fighter. But the problem is that he doesn't do either one well. While his attack power is pretty decent, it doesn't match up with the other heavy hitters, and his poor defense power is abysmal, so he really can't be much of a tank. And while he is easily the best fire mage, you're still better off with Asuna if you really want to cast her, since he does have no access to healing spells. That being said though, he does have some perks over Olvon and Camille, such as higher speed and magic growths, and the ever-useful F-Shield spell, which does protect your party from attack spells, as well as Defense 2, which halves enemy defense power. However, I really do think that his main drawback, besides just being mediocre all-around stat rise, is that he has no buffing spells to speak of, nor healing spells. He's just one note, and in a game as hard as this, you really do need someone who can fulfill multiple roles. Number 6. Olvon. Honestly, it's really a toss-up as to who's worse, Legis or Olvon, but at least Olvon can hold his own in combat, has really good equipment growth, and has access to healing spells. However, he's crippled by the absolute worst MP growth in the entire game, coupled with the worst speed stat. He does learn the Protect spell for boss fights, and he can equip all the hidden equipment scattered throughout the game, giving him a slight edge. And while he does get the strongest weapon, he gets it so late in the game that it really doesn't matter. As a dwarf though, Olvon does get an advantage that the other 6 don't. His unique path throughout the game gives him early access to Grime Tower, as well as being able to reach the hidden room in Lusau. He's great if you want to solo the game, since he's pretty much an indestructible tank with great equipment, defensive buffs, and healing. But otherwise, steer clear and look for someone with more versatility. Number 5. Camille. Our resident knight is a jack of all trades, but a master of none. He's a competent fighter, just a tad bit below Olvon in regards to his attack and defense, but his magic growths are decent, and he has a fine selection of both healing and fire spells. In fact, he's tied with Legis as the best fire caster in the game, but he does have better equipment selection, better growths, and healing, so he 100% completely outclasses the poor demon. He also has access to Revive and Petrify, one of the best crowd control spells in the game, able to completely incapacitate every enemy who's vulnerable to it. During the course of the game, he's adequate and passable, but towards the end of the game, his equipment draw expands dramatically and he does become quite good. However, like Olvon before him, his real drawback is that the unequipped fighters are so much better because of the way the buffing formulas work in this game. And that brings us to our next character. Number 4. Willy. At this point, we've left the trash behind, and now it is a race to the top. Our hot little alien has the most HP in the entire game, coupled with huge power and speed stats as well. Unfortunately, his MP growth is down there with Olvon's, and although he does have access to fire spells like the other fighters, they aren't really all that useful on him. You're pretty much just better off attacking. At least Olvon and Camille can heal. Willy can't even buff, equipped anything at all, and he always carries a weakness to fire. So you might be asking, why is he better than them? Well, let me tell you. As one of the 2 unequipped fighters, it comes down to the way that the buffing formulas work. For anybody who's played a modicum of the game, you know how important buffing is, and here buffs doubles a character's particular stat, so those with high natural growths will get buffed much more than those with average stats only boosted by equipment. Number 3. Lux. Our resident Techigen, Lux is a powerhouse machine who, like Willy, can't really equip anything, although he does get a nice boost late game in Melanim. Lux also has access to uniquely powerful thunder spells which hit all enemies and can be situationally useful, but that's all that he can do. He really doesn't have much downsides besides the continuous clanking which can drive the best of us insane. His stats across the board are super high, you don't have to buy him anything, he gets late game boosts, and like Willy, the buffing formula works out in his favor because the buffs only double raw stats and don't take equipment into account. For example, Let's say that Lux has 100 strength with no weapon, and Camille has 75 strength but also a sword that gives him 25 strength, therefore making them both equal at 100 strength. But after casting power on both of them, Lux will actually have an attack rating of 200, whereas Camille will only have 175. Because of this, Lux and Wilmy are pretty much the best attackers that the game has to offer, with Lux kind of squeaking a little bit by Wilmy. Number 2. Valsu. Now we've hit the real cream of the crop. I mean, with 4 melee fighters duking it out for supremacy and Legis in the toilet with no healing whatsoever, you're pretty much required to have one of the 2 healers along with you. Yeah, we all know about the elixir, which fully restores a character's HP and MP, but Valsu also uniquely learns all 3 buffing spells, as well as the amazingly defensive F-Shield, Great Heals, Revival, and Petrify for crowd control. He really is just a fantastic white mage. It's just a shame that his only real reliable way of dealing damage is the lowly Ice 1 spell. He gets no other attacking magic, but that's not too big of a deal when we all know that the main reason to bring him along in the first place is his great healing, and in that he does excel. But one more character actually excels in everything else that matters. Number 1. Asuna. Back whenever I was a kid, I used to think of Asuna as the black mage, but I've changed my opinion. Legis is the true black mage of the game, and Asuna is actually the sage. It was hard for me to choose which of the mages was better, but because Asuna is more versatile and useful throughout the entire game, she did nudge ahead of Valsu. The old man is only more useful like the last hour or so of the game once he does learn Elixir. Whereas Asuna's attack is abysmal, her speed and magic reign supreme. Lacking fire magic, she specializes in powerful ice magic and learns all the spells very early. Not only is she able to wipe out groups with all of her spells, she gets power, defense, heal 1, and heal 3. The bitch can really do it all. Asuna even works well solo since she does know the Petrify spell as well as Vacuum, which just wipes enemies off the face of the planet. And she knows MP Catcher, so she just keeps on going while the other characters will run dry. Well, that's it for the characters of the 7th Saga ranked from worst to best. If you like this video and what I do here on the channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon for exclusive videos and early access to my content, or coming over to my Discord channel to chat and hang out. The links to them both can be found in the video description. This has been David. If you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.